So good evening, dear eminent leaders and distinguished participants. Welcome everyone to Feed Friday Future Fit Leadership Series, episode 30. I am Anirudh Singh, a senior HR professional and a leadership coach. I'm delighted to host today's conversation with Mr. Mahesh Gera, Chief Human Resources Officer, Rustomjee Group. Before we begin our conversation, I would like to brief about the logistics and a short introduction of the series. I request all our participants to kindly mute your microphone and switch off the camera to make it a well-recorded session. The recordings of all the episodes are available in our website, www.futurelista.in. We are also live on Facebook and Twitter. Please don't forget to tweet about the program using hashtag Reimagining Future Leadership. Also, request you all to fill in the form as shared on the chat box. This is important to gather your valuable feedback and incorporate your suggestions to make the series more interesting, engaging, and rewarding. We seek your active participation and request you post your questions on the chat box during the conversation, asking our guest speaker to answer. Also, may I request to write on the chat box your key learnings and big takeaways from the session and your aha moments, if there are any. We thanks and appreciate your support. Let me briefly discuss the Future Fit Leadership Series, which is scheduled every Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. We invite highly regarded business thinkers involving CEOs, CHROs, and CXOs across industries and sectors to share their insight into the future, reimagining leadership in these transformative times. They define the new paradigm that will revolutionize business and the leadership. The idea of Future Leadership Series is conceived, designed, and developed by FutureLista Consulting Partner, a boutique HR consulting and management research firm committed to creating future-ready organizations. It provides the entire spectrum of HR services and solutions and work with clients as their transformation partners. Business with a Cause had led the collaboration of FutureLista with Safe Foundation, a not-for-profit organization which works towards building an inclusive ecosystem for persons with disabilities and empower them to become productive contributors of our society. Now it's time to begin our conversation, and I'm privileged to introduce our today's esteemed guest, Mr. Mahesh Gera, Group CHRO, Rustomjee. Mahesh is a mechanical engineer from NIT Surat, MBA in marketing from DBIM Surat. Mahesh is driving an unconventional HR practices. Emerging from cross-functional experience, he has a rich experience of over 29 years in the varied fields with expertise in human resource, capital management, capital building, and corporate training. Being an avid learner, he went on to study strategic HR from IIM Kolkata during this pandemic period. His instinct in product management, sales and marketing, and general management of operations across sectors like engineering, FMCG, capital goods, and consumer durables, and real estate came in handy and added to his passion for developing human resources. Having worked with brands like Seat, Schneider, and Honda, he joined the Reliance ADA Group in corporate training and then transitioned to business and corporate HR by invitation, a feat he cherishes as the turning point in his career. An international stint with Bharti Group in Africa further added to the diversity of experience, especially since he seamlessly toggled between business and HR roles. Mahesh went on to be a lead international faculty and managed audience from across culture and geographies. As a lead faculty for Hemsley, for Fraser of UK, he gained a rich experience in handling human resources from across the globe. Mahesh is a well-admired speaker at management campuses and has been invited to various seminars in prestigious B schools of India and multiple HR forums. I think, Maheshji, it's time to start our conversation and welcome you again. on the Feed Friday Future Fit Leadership Series. So Maheshji, you're there?
Yes, thank you very much, Anirudhji. Thank you very much. I think it's an honor. It's my pleasure to be here on this forum with some of the best known names in HR, some of the veterans whom I have always kind of grown up into HR, admiring and getting inspired from, following them. So thank you very much for adding me to this forum and giving me this opportunity to come and learn more from all of you.
Welcome, Maheshji. I'm sure it is going to be power-packed, learning-packed session.
And that was quite an introduction. Thank you so much. I'm a simple man.
There is a lot to talk about you, but yeah.
Thank you so much.
So Maheshji, the COVID-19 pandemic disrupted the labor markets globally during 2020. And the short-term consequences were very sudden and often very severe. Sudden, there was a lockdown. Millions of people were lost jobs, and others rapidly adjusted to working from home as offices closed. Many other workers were deemed essential and continued to work in hospitals, grocery stores, on garbage trucks, and warehouses. And I'm sure even in the construction industry. So do you think the worst part of the pandemic is over, or it is time to return to the offices, or there is something changed permanently in the world of working? Please tell us what are some of major shifts taking place and how the future of the world of work is evolving. Over to you, Maheshji.
So I think very well captured, Anirudh. I think this is something which was completely unseen by at least all of us in this generation largely. And nobody had planned, nobody had anticipated. And when it began, of course, reality was also pegged as much into sectors which were kind of felt doomed, whether it was hospitality, aviation, where things had almost come to a full stop. And you rightly said, at the same time, there were people working across sectors, across levels, labor at sites, for example, workers in hospitals. And the beauty is that despite everything, construction sites remain active. We remained active. All our sites were completely working, and
really,
we had this advantage of having what we call where you had labor in site. They were residing there. We could manage. But of course, there was a certain period of the lockdown which gave us a jolt. But I think very soon, barring the Q1 and Q2, Q3 and Q4 were probably, they turned around everything for the real estate sector. And if you notice, it's been a very surprising phenomenon. From when we started, we were not looking all that good. But when we closed the year, we honestly came back with wonderful numbers, whether it was on the construction completion front or on the sales front. So I think that showed a lot of confidence in people, especially in people to convey and join me in saying that, look, pandemics or no pandemics, or problems will come and they will go. But the world is here to stay. And while we did experience something as work from home, as someone very nicely was saying that today everyone at home knows everything about your workplace. In a way, it gives a good feeling as well. Now they genuinely know as to what you do. Families never knew exactly what you do when you go to office. Our children never knew exactly what we do when we go to work. They do know a tag around it. They do know a function around it, but exactly what your the child never knew what the father is doing in office. So with all that, I'm sure things are fairly behind us. If I were to say, I mean, no one can predict with all the deltas and monkey viruses of the world around still, and you never know what more can come. But one thing is for sure, the world has given us a tremendous confidence and has shown to all of us that we are here to stay. And I think it's time to go back to where we belong. And I am very happy to note that just a couple of weeks back, what we have initiated is called the space tourism. And Anirudhji, sometime you, me, both, and everyone on this forum will certainly be going to space for that too. So
I'm sure.
it should stay, right? So to that extent, I do think, I definitely think that the world has definitely shown a lot of resilience, a lot of adaptability, and I was amazed at the level of entrepreneurship. I mean, in a couple of months, the amount of entrepreneurship that evolved, how people were setting up factories for masks or for PPE kits or for the smallest of things that you can think of. People have gone into high gear, and despite lockdown conditions, despite tight finance conditions, everything else, people turned it around and showcased it to the world that this world is actually meant to fight it out.
So if we have to talk it, one thing is coming out very clear, that it's the resilience of human being which has been in play.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
If,
One more thing, sorry
yeah,
to, if you ask me in terms of how it is looking like going forward, I
yeah,
think the world has got divided into two. One is the businesses which are completely digital, and the other is businesses which have no choice but to go digital. So I think digital, it is going to be digital either ways. The smallest of business today is completely appified. The world is appified. You need a very small thing. It is completely available online. I think the world order is changing. I think that is something which has which has happened during this period, but very
so,
positively so far, I would say. Of
so
course, apart from the loss of life, that is definitely very, very tragic, and all our hearts go out to people whom we lost during this pandemic, all the families. It sounds very good to talk on a Zoom call, but people who have lost, families have got devastated, businesses have got devastated, all that has happened. But life goes on, and as they always say, show must go on. I think the world is going with that thought. I think that's how it looks like to me.
no doubt, I mean, this has impacted all of us. And there has been tremendous impact on the human psychic, mental health. I mean, pandemic is, people have lost job, people have lost their dear ones. So it is really very hard on the people.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt about it. But also, there has been a lot of changes, and human being has come out and being very resilient and come back and bounce back and return towards the normals. And as you rightly said, that the word, one is that have to be digitally, and then another word already digital. So that's the word. Everybody has to go digital. There is no choice available with us. So now these are the major steps, like being digitally connected by working digitally. And these are driving and forcing organizations to change the way they used to work, change their business model, workplace practices, and organization structure to succeed in these times of, say, continuous disruption. And the changes are so fast that they are overwhelming. They are at times very confusing. To stay competitive in these and thrive in these times, what are some of the, I would say, the structural changes or business model to meet these shifts and changing customer expectations would be requiring that organizations have to gear up to adopt these changing environment, change these continuous changes? Yeah.
So I think a lot has changed, definitely, and all of us have gone through the same change, almost in the same dimension. Uh, and the beauty is that it has affected each one of us almost alike. I mean, I get amazed at the agility at which some of our younger folks, our millennials and our next gen have adapted to this. I get to hear stories even within the family. I look at my nephews, nieces. They are all, so someone has packed his stuff in Pune, gone to live in Goa for 6 months, gone to London, working from there. So I think the world for them is now work from anywhere, as someone was rightly saying a little while back. And it really, really doesn't matter where you are. World has become a small place. While we are all on this forum, we can connect up with the whole world. So I think one change which it has brought is that working from home has certainly emerged as a fairly stable option. Initial days, we all had a lot of if I were to use the word conflict initially, and there were apprehensions. It was very difficult to discuss in the boardroom what is going to happen, because there will always be diverse views. Some would be definitely contrarian, and it was difficult to digest to it in the first place. We are so used to seeing manpower, people all over, that we could not actually believe that, you know, the same productivity, the same output, the same work could be done so easily. And people were very happy because they had cut down on their commuting time, especially for the lesser mortals in Mumbai, where the commute alone takes, you know, 40% of how much your productive work time is, perhaps. So I think for all those people, life did change. Organizations also had to re-engineer a lot of things. Just to give you an example, uh, we are a brick and mortar business, but we, even as an organization, completely reworked our workplaces. We completely optimized the office spaces. We got into hot desking. We as an organization, and especially I must thank our management always, whichever forum I go to, because they are very progressive. And right up to the chairman, the thought process is so progressive that we all went into no cabins for anyone, including the CMD. So we today own a space which is called a head office, which is called the corporate office. That corporate office does not have a cabin fixed for anyone. You can book a cabin, you can sit in the same cabin where the chairman was sitting yesterday. Chairman could be sitting in your room. It's all managed through a hot desking app. And these people were also very active during the pandemic times, and they come up with good solutions, easy solutions, and we could easily bring down our requirement of commercial space by half. So I think we had to re-engineer to survive as well as to excel and to be competitive, as you rightly said. Apart from the same, we also had to, now the bigger challenge was not actually cutting down your office space. The bigger challenge was, how do we make the work from home an enjoyable experience?
That's right.
Especially, you know, if you are sitting in Mumbai, and you and I both know that the size of a Mumbai home has been as optimized as it could have ever been. You know, people have managed to create homes within homes, and it is very difficult for someone to work from home if you are a family of 3 or 4. And an average family in Mumbai lives in the kind of carpet area that they are, they can afford, because it's an island city in that sense. And what we did as an HR, and right in the beginning itself, in a very progressive move, we sent everyone home a workstation with an ergonomic chair, because that was the first thing people required. You know, majority of us, we are not actually used to have an office at home. Even the blessed would rarely have planned it, because, you know, we would end up sitting on a dining table or on a bed with a laptop, or, you know, some form or the other, which is not very healthy if you have to work 8 hours a day or 9-10 hours a day at home. So I think those things really worked well. We created a nice portable option for everyone to create a workstation at home. We also started looking at reorienting roles, you know, to locational preferences, closer to sites, cross-functional role, merging, mapping, and we did a lot of realignment of the org in that sense. That was very, very important, and I think that has also become the order of the day. Now now almost every organization has to have people who can completely work from home, people who can partly work from home, and then people who necessarily have to come to office. You know, there are certainly some roles where it still is required, and we continue to do that. And I think that's been working very well for us, definitely. And I think going forward, there are new and new mantras which always continue to we learn from. My daughter works for a wonderful organization called SNP, Global Market Intelligence. She's working for. And yesterday, SNP sent a very nice kit home. Every now and then, they keep sending nice kits home. It carries cookies, it carries antigen test kits, it carries small things to make your work from home beautiful. I think it's very important to learn for all of us from all good initiatives, whichever organization is taken. I think each one of us, most people in this on this call would have experienced it and launched it.
So yeah, Mr. Couple of things are coming emerging very, very open and clear and straightforward, that one has to be very caring employee, and you have to look at the needs and wherever they are working, that how can you support them, enable them. So enabling, you have to create an enabling environment and always look for that, how to enable your people to deliver whatever situation is and whatever the circumstances are. Then realigning the work structure, as you said that. And it reminded me of that when you said that the people have gone to London. One of my friend is in Rishikesh in one of the ashram and working from there itself. Last 2 months, he said, I have this ashram, 500 rupees I'm paying every day,
Absolutely.
doing yoga, meditation, and it
Absolutely.
is such a bliss. Living a yogi's life and still working for corporate. So I said, call him a corporate yogi.
Absolutely. So actually, if you look at the impact of it, am I audible? Because I think I got some internet issue message. Is it
No,
audible?
you are absolutely, yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So I'm saying that the beauty is that it is also integrating both ashrams and farmhouses and everything with the digitally wired world, because my folks, they are working from a home in a small town in Haryana where we have a farmhouse, and now everything is, there is a Wi-Fi in the farmhouse. There is, everything is well connected, and which was not planned ever earlier. We never imagined the need of it.
So
So I think
that's the
yes,
beauty of
it is empowering
change
the
and
world in a positive side. Absolutely, absolutely. I think
so
that really is helping us re-engineer everything else around us apart from the workplace.
yeah. So there is a growing realization that purpose of an organization just cannot be only making profit. And there are lots of concerns around the sustainable development. And when Mahesh, I ask you that you describe the success of your company, what impact would you see in your business, your customers, and the communities you serve?
So I think, Anirudh, I must actually first of all say thanks for asking this question. I think it's a very important question for each organization. And not only on the business front, even on the personal front, what we have all experienced uh, during these tough times is the value of life more than anything else. You know, people never imagined they will have to pay for oxygen at the rate it has been provided to us in bounty by the Almighty. And I think we have all learned that the purpose, all of us, even if it was ever to be just making profit, it needs to be recast. And we have all realized that this was pretty much possible, and uh, it is also it comes out of your DNA certainly, and this opportunity which we have got has certainly helped us recast some of that vision. We are blessed, luckily, Anirudhji, that our management has always been, and I think some of the within India, especially, a lot of managements have been very proactive and have kept profits aside for their mission. They have always looked at society at large, building communities, creating experiences for people. That is what gives them satisfaction. We are blessed with our management, our board of directors. They are all have been very, very progressive with that thought, luckily, and it further reinforced it for us because we could see. I mean, we were in the thick of an issue which the whole country saw, labor migration, and a whole lot of it was also linked to construction sites, and our people had to shift gears completely. And I think all my communication that goes to all our employees, all our people, it never calls them labor. It always calls them as extended families. So our people during the entire lockdown were busy providing shelter, food across sites, across wherever there was an opportunity, because that became the purpose at that point in time, or even while creating homes. Our purpose always has been that we create happiness, a happier world, and a happy experience for our customers. We have honestly not we have been known more for our customer care than for engineering, I would say. While our engineering prowess has been one of the highest, definitely, and I mean, we are one of the pioneers at this time of having implemented some of the very advanced digital initiatives in the industry. But our concern for our customer centricity has always been higher. And there the intent is always to build better communities, better life for people. That has always been the purpose. And I think the pandemic has further enhanced it. We are trying to see how best we can, reinforce that thought.
Absolutely. Customer centricity, and because the customer expectations are all changing very fast. And those organizations which have understanding of those customer expectations and have centricity would absolutely thrive. I fully agree with you. So now,
and at the same time, just to quickly add, I mean, there are those traditional CSR ways of doing things which we all do, some of it under pressure, some of it under obligation, some of it under passion. So we have this initiative for, educate a child with every home that we sell. And that is something which I've been doing by passion. The obligations came, the mandates came much later by the rule book. Just to give you a very small insight, today is one of our probably fifth or sixth day of doing vaccination drives. And just before the launch of this Zoom call, we had completed 320 vaccinations for the day. We are vaccinating everyone around our sites free of cost. All our labor, all our support staff, all our people, whether they are on my roles or on my outsourced role, or they are on contractors' roles, or on any third-party roles, but they are at my site. So we are creating a completely vaccinated Rustomji, completely entire community, whether it is our residents. We have people engaging with the societies and managing and helping them achieve that as well. So there are various ways of achieving that.
Absolutely. So, whatever we are doing, at the center of everything is the leadership. It is the leaders, how they walk, how they talk. As you rightly said, that we never call lever a lever, but we treat them as the extended family. So your actions, your intent are displayed by your actions and words by the leaders. People emulate them, people look at them. So now, if you look at the historic, so there is a changing role of leadership also, Mahesh. So if you look at historically, the leadership the concept was around predict, control, and order. That's changing because this is such an predictable word. You cannot predict, you cannot decide. And also the control, which was like leaders, and there are two groups, general and troops. That relationship is also changing. So the complete whole identity of the leadership is changing. How you see it when it comes to leadership, what are the critical traits, skills, mindset, skill set would be needed to survive in this transformative times as a leader?
Sure, I think that's another good question. I must say, I think, yes, the world is changing. Before I answer that, I also wanted to check with you. I hope I am not taking longer than your budgeted time for me, because that is the hazard of a cross-functional HR when he's invited.
No, we are on time. We are on time. We are going absolutely on time. 6 o'clock we'll be able to close.
Yes, please feel free to.
I will interject.
Yeah.
Yes, sure.
So I think, yes, you very rightly said there was all this while we had leadership coming from the predict, order, and control hypothesis. But I think the world has changed definitely beyond the pandemic, as well as a little before the pandemic as well. I would say that in this new era, with this new millennials in place, and the way the new generation works, I think it has already been an era of leadership where someone needs to I may request you to please go on mute. Sanjeev, are you showing?
Request kindly switch off your video.
Price is different from that.
Kindly mute your microphone, sir.
So,
yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I think what it requires today, in my thought process, is that one needs to adapt, one needs to strategize, and then collaborate. So it's an adapt, strategize, collaborate kind of an environment. It's no more predict, order, and control. I think gone are those days where you would predict, order, and control. Why? Because first of all, I think the biggest jolt we have got in this pandemic is that management by anticipation has actually gone for a toss. Nobody could anticipate what we have all gone through. I mean, I was at a mall last night and I could, the world looks so different in masks. The world looks so different at each place today. While it is opening up, it's still just opening up. And there is this beautiful, very touchy video on WhatsApp where these little ones who have been born in 2020 going under every object that they see, they're, trying to see if there's a sanitizer in it. They're trying to, they put their hands below it in expectation that there will be some droplet of sanitizer which will come. So I think in that scenario, I think it is important for leaders to adapt to the emerging future as always. Strategize and collaborate. And it is also a learn, lead, learn. You need to be always, your learning hats have to be on. You cannot, you cannot be the know-it-all person forever. And this generation is way too quick, way too wired, way too digitally savvy. And, they are way too informed. I always tell them, when come to think of it, when we were we were graduating, and even at that time, people used to think, we did not have access to internet and computers, because we were told, it is more for people who are in computer engineering or for electronics and communication. Aap log kya karoge? Aap to mechanical engineering mein ho, right? But I think today, the whole paradigm has completely gone, it has actually gone 360 degree from when we graduated, and it is further going from 360 degree from where we are today. So I think it's a world where people will have to always be learning. Then, learn, lead, learn. Even after you have experimented, you will still have to keep learning. You will have to keep re-engineering your own self. And I think there is this very powerful thing called reverse mentoring. And I think reverse mentoring, which we always looked at with a lot of, eye of suspicion, today is, I think, come true for many of us. I think when you sit with the kids of the new block, I think it is very important to be open to learn from anyone. And there's a lot to learn. Leadership will be in people who are adaptable, who are strategic, and who are ready to collaborate, ready to learn, and then ready to lead. I'm sure it will still achieve the goal of predict, order, and control, but in a much softer, much better shape. I think that's how
learning, relearning, unlearning is the mantra, and that you have to keep continually learning.
True.
Keep improving, keep learning new traits, new things, new skills. That's how it is, because skill self-life itself is getting reduced like anything. Those are the days which are gone, like that. You have done something in your school, college days, and then for whole career that was good enough. You have to keep reskilling yourself. So that's right, absolutely.
I agree.
Yeah, in complete agreement. So we were talking about the leadership and change, and if we just extend this concept towards the HR leadership, so look at the COVID-19 pandemic has thrust HR into the leadership spotlight. In the process, HR has become an essential workers to ensure a safe and healthy return to the workplace. The previous crisis of the year 2008 was basically a financial crisis. And the CFOs, the leaders from the finance function, led the exit out of the crisis. So the current crisis is fundamentally different from the past crisis. It is a human-centric. What this means for the strategic priorities of HR. How should the HR function respond to the challenges of this crisis? Mahesh.
So when I moved into HR from my business and sales roles all these years, the first communication which I wrote to the employees, and especially it was not really employees, it was to the leadership team. And I used one quote, that in our Kotler days, we always heard, marketing is way too important to be left to marketing department alone. And I had recoined it by saying HR is way too important to leave it to HR department alone. I think every leader worth his salt needs to actually embrace HR and practice it in whatever function you are. So I think one of the important things that saying that it is a human crisis or it's a crisis for HR would perhaps be a misnomer in my view. I think it is a crisis for each leader. Each function has gone through, a turmoil. Ask a person, ask my group CFO, he will say, he's got stories to tell on how it has impacted life. Ask our engineering heads, they will tell you how it is impacting life for them. Ask our sales folks, ask any other function. So I think impact of the pandemic has been more or less universal when it comes to business functions. Each one of them have contributed differently. Yes, the role of HR has definitely been to sensitize people to understand the HR dimension, be empathetic in these times, and honestly, gone are those days where people would do things for optics. People had this lot of there are all kinds of leaders we always see leaders who feel their ego gets massaged when they have a lot of people following, sitting outside waiting, or having a number of people reporting into them. I think those paradigms have to change. Leadership today does not get defined by even the span of control or the kind of people or the number of people who are working for your function. It is actually completely transformed, and now people need to be very empathetic. People need to be very understanding. Their complete behavioral transformation has to actually be aligned to contribute to success of the organization and of the people. To that extent, I think it's a culture of, as we said, it's like inducing and exciting a culture of learning for all of them. These are times where one can easily even reach out to the Harvards of the world. They were all available to us. And the whole world is available for you to learn. So I think all of us have to take initiatives in all these dimensions, whether it is creating a culture of empathy or of collaboration. And it's no more I don't even want to use the word what is a task relationship or what is a I hope that the context is understood better, that it is no more that paradigm. So I think it's completely now a relationship mix which has to be understood much better. These are the times which are probably reinforced that combination for us, task versus relationship. So people are understanding. I think good organizations have seen it. Good leaders have also seen. Good leaders are also seeing that if they have adapted to this, attrition in their teams is extremely low, and their teams have stuck to them in these tough times. And so is true with the organization. I think we are blessed. Our people have stood by us in these times. I must thank them always. And I think that is the other part which all of us need to have, and inculcate the sense of gratitude across our people, across every person at whatever role the person be. So I think some of the best organizations have also led the path. And to that extent, if I were to tell you my own perspective for this, how we used to think 10 years back, this is an on-roll person, this is an off-roll person, and this role is with the contractors person, I think it's completely gone. Today, I don't look at a man like that, a human being, a human resource in our organization like that at all. What I would have probably be looking at 10, 15 years back. I think those things are changing, paradigms are changing. And I think that's very important for all leaders to adapt to. And this is not really a crisis of human capital then anymore.
And beautifully summarized that the organizations has to be more empathetic, more humane, more listening, connected, and treat human being as human being rather just resources to be used. So that's a very beautifully summarized. Now, we are moving on to the next round, which is called rapid fire round. Now, I also request our audience, our participants, to kindly pour on your questions as much as you can, and I'm sure you'll get the answer of all your questions, whichever you are putting in. So we'll move on to the rapid fire round, Mahesh, and every question will take around 50.
But that's fine. I enjoy it as well equally.
Yeah. So, but you have beautifully answered all the questions. All the conversations are really so very interesting, and I enjoyed thoroughly, and I'm sure the participants are enjoying this. So, one question which we always ask from all our speakers is that define a future fit leader in one word.
So In one word, I think, feel that someone who inspires across cycles. It may not be one word, it may be words too many, but maybe a sentence, that someone who inspires across business cycles is a future fit leader. Leader. Across business cycles, life cycles, but he should be inspiring.
So it has to be inspiring leader.
Yes.
Right. So how do we achieve agility without sacrificing collaboration?
I think collaboration, itself happens with agility. So, be it with your team or with your partners or with your customers. So there's no question of sacrificing agility, or rather sacrificing either. If even if you are able to achieve it, it will be a temporary phenomena. So collaboration will require agility to the core. So I think there is no need to worry about or sacrificing either.
So it is essential ingredients for each other.
Absolutely.
Without
Absolutely.
agility, without collaboration, there cannot be agility.
Absolutely. I feel so, at least.
Yeah. So how do we experiment safety in a risk-averse environment?
So that's very interesting. So it's like this, standing outside a pool, you honestly cannot experience the water inside and the experience of swim. So and they also say, no risk taking itself is risky sometimes. So there are no safe experiments. I think one only can take a calculated risk, if at all. But one must take a risk. Why not?
One must take risks. How do we launch new business transformation, which organizations are going through continuous transformation, while keeping the old operations running?
So I think old will remain gold. There is no doubt about it. We'll have to continue age-old practices, traditions, and the mantras, and keep so. While we definitely need to transition to the new mantras, but with the engine on, we have to keep the engine on. So you cannot stop everything and move on to the new world. You cannot transition without it. So you'll have to practice with that.
Absolutely. So AI is on track to become our work partners and do things we don't want to do or can't do. How do we prepare for this?
I think all of us have been listening about or talking about or experiencing AI, ML, all this on almost a daily basis. If not hourly in today's world, you do anything and very soon you are already being tracked completely. So I don't think there are choices left. AI or technologies like that simply need to be embraced. They are the new normal if they are not already. So I think we need to embrace them, get engaged with them, learn more about them, and adapt and adopt both. We have to adopt them. And I think that's the only way forward.
Yes.
Practically everything. Just to give you a little idea about, in the real estate industry, we are implementing the pioneers in implementing what is called BIM, Building Information Modeling, where we are complete workflows, process flows. Everything is now, the communication is man to man, man to machine, machine to machine, machine to man, and those are the processes we are doing in real estate, which is a brick and mortar business, literally. And so I'm sure for all the other businesses, it is as important as for any other that we adapt to the new technologies and leverage them. And this is huge in terms of its output, its power, it's huge. So I would say, I think embrace them is the one mantra.
Embrace, adopt, and leverage.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think very well said.
Yeah. So how are you? That's a very important question for me, in fact. How are you taking care of a mental, physical, and spiritual well-being?
So I think I would have been actually happier if you had asked me this question, not in rapid fire. This is something which I am very passionate about. I think as an organization, we always keep talking about, fitness, professional, of course, but on the more important side, it is your personal individual fitness, physical fitness, your mental fitness and mental wellness. We organize work, so at Rustomji, we organize workshops. A very good friend of mine, he runs something called the Institute of Happiness. We did happiness seminars. Another good friend of mine does programs on digital detox. I mean, the kind of screen exposure all of us have through devices, multiple devices. I think it is too high, and we all need to sometimes give ourselves the break from that much of an exposure. And I, for one, of course, I at each forum I go on bragging about my running, which I adopted to last 2-3 years. I went on to run my first half marathon at the age of almost 55. So I appeal to people that please do start doing it early as you can, and adapt to a very healthy, active life. It is in the end of it all, it's you who's going to take care of yourself, nobody else. So I think that the same mantra follows for everyone in the organization. We keep telling people, we keep organizing such events. We of course we had our own cricket team doing pretty well. So in various forms, we don't want the fun way of working to go away in these work from home days. Try doing it in whatever form, and engage. We had a wonderful yoga session done by one of our residents of Elements, Juhu. She's an amazing person, and she runs these programs. So I think there are multiple ways. All it requires is a little push. People don't easily push. There are enough opportunities, and there are various ways to, I think, change oneself. So I have been.
I didn't know that you are a runner.
Yes, I have been quite late in it, but I think I'm completely enjoying the journey.
Yeah, Mahesh, I didn't know that you are a runner. I'm also a runner too. I do running.
Wow, that's great. So maybe the next one we'll run together.
We will run together, I'm sure.
Done. The Airtel one in Delhi or the Tata one in Mumbai. One of those two certainly.
We will. Yeah.
Wonderful. Great.
So we had talked about it, that the importance of values like humility, empathy. So how do you think these define the importance of values like humility and empathy for a future fit leader?
I think the first thing is that everyone in the value chain is looking at you and evaluating you from that to begin with. I don't think, and I must also confess, and I must also tell you that as a brand, I think we owe it to our customers, we owe it to our people, we owe it to our partners, we owe it to our contractors, every person who's involved in this process. And why I'm saying it again and again is that over the years, and we are this is our silver jubilee year. We completed our 25 years in April this year in the real estate business side of it. And we have seen that the amount of trust people have in us is primarily because we have always nurtured those values. And those values are of, empathy, or of transparency, or of humility, or of being concerned about, the customer delivery side of it. I think each one of them has really come out to be true. And in these times when people experience you, I think it only adds to it. And you can definitely see the fruits of all that you cultivated all these years.
Absolutely.
I think we need to continue doing all that good work.
Wonderful. So Mahesh, what have you been key learnings during the pandemic in terms of leadership? What have been your key learnings?
I think one important thing which I sense during this period is that it is a reinforcement of the fact that leadership does not lie in a person, a team, a vertical, a business, not an individual. I think it is prevalent everywhere. It does not necessarily, it has cut across hierarchies during these times. We have seen some of the frontline most people showcase leadership, and you could see talent coming across unexpected quarters. And I think the power of teamwork, was completely visible during this pandemic. And I also personally feel that I did not experience too much of, our own people competing with each other. No, I think I could sense, touch and feel experience of collaboration and teamwork, and being able to contribute together has been significantly higher during this pandemic period. And I think it has aligned people more than any other period. And people were
Teamwork,
ready to,
alignment.
yes, people
Absolutely.
were ready to come out.
Very right. It's a teamwork and alignment and engagement that has been the key learnings. Yeah. So how have you been engaging in continued professional development? I was reading through your uh, introduction, and that's you have been very keen on your continued professional development from business to moving into HR. So how this journey has been on your own development?
Sure. I think more than the professional side, I would like to tell you first and the foremost that I learned cooking during the pandemic. So I don't know when it will come, professionally, when it will fructify for me, I don't know. But my folks now know that I know cooking. So every time I travel to Gurgaon, these guys actually, make me do work in kitchen. So, but on a serious note, I think I completely enjoyed investing about 14 months with IIM Calcutta, and learning was fun. We are a great group. Uh, I could learn some wonderful things on strategic HR, as well as I think I must also thank people like you, Rajiv ji, and all the mentors on this group who have been actually selflessly coming onto such webinars, forums where we have learned so much. I think first 6 months of webinars probably would have given people almost graduation, post-graduation degrees. There was so much to learn, so much available. And some of the celebrities whom we could have, celebrities and very tall leaders whom we could not visualize meeting in person or being able to, attend to them one-on-one. I think we could experience that.
Yes.
So right up to whether it is on the corporate side, bureaucracy, ministerial side, I think everywhere we could see that, everywhere. I think people contributed. So that was a huge learning. And I think we I also must tell you, this is very interesting. Little inside information about Rustomji. While at Rustomji, we have like WhatsApp has gone into our DNA. All of us are on a WhatsApp group. So entire leadership team on the WhatsApp group, more than anybody else, our chairman, Mr. Baman Irani, he will share so much of learning content, so much of events that he would, always recommend that, folks, you can attend this, you can attend this. I think it has been great. So
Wonderful.
we wish to continue that culture of learning and culture of people
Amazing. Amazing.
enhancing their skills.
Amazing. So you completed your 14 months strategic HR program from IIM Kolkata at this period. That's amazing. Congratulations, Mahesh.
I was probably one of the oldest guy in that group. Eldest
Congratulations,
guy, I would say. But thanks. I still want to talk about it because for people who may be my age or even much younger, but if you're still debating, thinking that, should really one do it at this age? Honestly, age is just chronology, but it's fun. You must engage and keep learning, keep enjoying whatever you do. I really enjoyed learning new things during this period. So whether it was running or it was cooking or enhancing some of these skills, but I enjoyed. Thank you.
They rightly said there is no age for learning.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So last question, and then we'll be going for the audience questions. What thought would you leave with the today's leaders to prepare them for the challenge of tomorrow? That's the last question.
Thank you very much. I think you've been very patient with me. I think I personally feel that whatever you do, you must enjoy. Whatever you do, whenever, in whatever form of life, I think life will have pandemics. Life will have various forms of pandemics. Pandemic is honestly just one form of a crisis which we have all gone through as a human race or humanity at large. But in my view, one should be able to enjoy happiness, enjoy whatever you do, have conviction in your own self. And I think that's the way forward. Everything will look so small. Even this pandemic, after a few years, when we'll talk about it, probably we'll laugh about it. I feel, after maybe 5-10 years, we will probably have jokes around how there was a masked world. So I'm sure we will all unmask it and we'll enjoy a better life ahead always. So stay happy, and keep happiness all around. Enjoy your journey. This is a beautiful journey, beautiful life, and there's so much to learn. And be open, stick out your neck like I did for this seminar. I end up doing this, but I end up learning. So I enjoyed this completely. Thank you very much. It was really amazing to connect with you and learn from you.
We are really enjoying. So there's one question from a participant. How do goals help you become a better leader?
Yeah, so I think uh, so there is a very nice way of connecting the dots. If you look at your personality types, MBTI, for example, gives us those 16 personality types, and it classically differentiates people who are fully planned versus those who are very impulsive and impromptu. The J's and P's, we talk about them, and I think it is very important. The power of goal setting is very important, and working towards them is way too important further. So it definitely helps align you. It creates the focus that you need in your life to grow and to achieve what you want to achieve. I think in the power of and sense of that achievement is tremendous. You honestly cannot put it in words. If you honestly plan and have a set a goal, and then when you go ahead and achieve it, if you uh, if you want to really get the best out of your work, or sense of achievement that you will get out of it, it will be tremendous and will be a different high. So it's always good. It always helps to set up goals, and just don't forget, after setting them up, work towards them. It requires a lot of determination, and it's easy to jargonize anything and talk about KRAs, KPIs, goals. In fact, sometimes I jokingly say, the amount of Excels and PPTs that we make for our corporate world, I don't know how many of us make it for our personal life. Why not? Why not make it? I think create some. I'm sure all of us have our own way of capturing it differently. Some of us are actually very organized, have Excel sheets and PPTs also. But I still remember from my first job 30 years back, my boss took out one red color diary from the bottommost drawer of his table, and he said, Mahesh, this is where I have drawn my graph over the years. And he was very simple. It was Mr. Sabarwal at that time. It was very simple. He said, I simply capture how my compensation has grown each year. So while it may sound like a crude way today, but I think it's one good way of at least seeing whatever your goal was, are you achieving it? So I think it works. Sorry, I did not answer it in a rapid fire mode, but it was interesting and important. That was a
It's
good
important.
question. Thanks.
First, you know the goals and then follow it, work for it. And it,
Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely. It's important. Goal setting is a very important aspect because it brings the focus. There is a last question that the people want to, our participants wants to know from you, that discuss a leadership challenge you faced and what you did to overcome it.
So, if you're asking me the leadership challenge during this period, I think it was
anything. It's not particular for this period, but
okay,
something you can recall and you feel that it is good for our audience,
sure.
our participants.
Something very important which I recall is that during this period, I could sense and experience different personalities of leadership across the organization. And there is a very special a special mention that I would like to make is that there is this, there are people who get paranoid about things in such tough times. For them, the way of expression, the way of command, the way of leading, at times sounds as if the world is doomed, So I think handling that kind of paranoia is was a bit of a challenge sometimes. But the beauty is that having a good conversation, if I were to, put it in the crucial conversation mode with such people, really helped. So I think communication is the key in all times, which has been always proven, and it really worked well.
So communication resolves all the problems.
It indeed resolves most of our problems, actually. And I think
there are people who
us are largely doing that. Sorry.
There are some people who get crippled and they become in panic and then paranoid. Yeah, absolutely. That doesn't work in leadership. Yeah, absolutely. True. So Mahesh, it was the last question. We enjoyed it thoroughly. A lot of things come out from your heart, and we could learn a lot of things, that how the world you are looking at, how the future is going to, and what are the kind of leadership skills are required. Thank you very much. And I'd like to thank all our participants and really pay my gratitude that you always been there with us. And it's wonderful to have you all the time as the participants. Thank you for asking wonderful questions and
Thank
wish you
you.
all the great evening. Enjoy your evening and enjoy your weekend. Thank you, Mahesh.
Allow me
Yeah.
also
Nice.
to allow me a minute to also thank you and thank your team, Anirudhji. It has been amazing. Thanks for connecting, as well as I wish to thank all our wonderful audience, and they've been honestly very patient with our conversation. So it's a pleasure. Thank you very much. And some of the veterans, I see all those names. Thank you, Rajiv ji, especially for joining in. In fact, I have two Rajivs. Rajiv Aiji is also there, and quite a few of us. It's great to connect up again. Thank you very much, everyone. Really enjoyed this. Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy your weekends and evening. Thank you. Bye-bye.